Hi and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. Today I'm going to be doing the Three Musketeers tag. So I was tagged in this by Jem from Bookish Gems, who is quite a new channel to me. However, she is hysterical and brilliant, so if you're not already subscribed to her, please go check her out. But the tag was originally created by Teacup the Storyteller. So the Three Musketeers is one of her favourite books, so she decided to create a tag centering round about it. In terms of favourite thing to read about, I think it depends on the genre I'm reading. So if I'm reading horror, 100% 80s. 80s horror is my bag, or the back. It is my favourite time period to read about. However, if it's fantasy, I much prefer it to be modern day. I'm not a humongous fan of medieval fantasy. The exception to that being is if it's a Victorian steampunk-esque type London, I am fine with. I sort of feel like the Invisible Library books. So yes, mainly modern day, occasionally Victorian, occasionally 80s, depending on the genre. So I don't have a French author that I would like to recommend, but I do have a French author that I would like to recommend that you never read, and that's Georges Bataille, The Story of the Eye. So I read this last year and I'm still proper heavy traumatised from it. So it's just this mad book that this deranged Frenchman wrote. And a couple of booktubers that I know had read it as part of KD Books' Booker Boy book club. I decided to not read the book that month, but they kept up nagging me to read it so that they could watch me review it. And read it and review it I did. It was horrible. So I would like to recommend that nobody ever reads that book. So, Judy Garland for me. I think that it would be really cool to chat to her and get to know her a wee bit and find out a wee bit more about her life and her activism during her life. I think that would be brilliant, and frankly I think she'd be a laugh to have a drink with, so I think she'd be great. I think that she had quite a hard life, so she would be filled with wisdom and teachings, and I could maybe learn some stuff from her, and we could just geek out about her films for hours and hours and hours. I think it would be great. So I'm just going to base this off of my Goodreads stats from last year, because I have lost all memory of chunky or short books that I have read. So the longest book that I read last year was Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas, and that comes in at 984 pages. And then the shortest book that I read last year was Opal by Maggie Stiefvater, which is like a short story tie-in to the Raven Cycle books, and that was 38 pages long. So I'm not going to talk about Chuck Palahniuk or TJ Klune here, because like, predictable for me, I guess. So the books I think are massively underhyped on BookTube are the Invisible Library books. So the first book had been sitting on our shelf for years and years, and it wasn't even my book, it was one of Simon's, and I just decided to pick it up on a whim. The cover's gorgeous, it looked really interesting, and now I am addicted. And I've been reading a couple of books in the series over the past couple of years. So I did one the first year, which was the first one, and then I read books 2 and 3 in the series last year. I will be getting to 4 and 5 this year. They're brilliant. It is about our main character Irene, who is a literary spy. She works in a place called the Invisible Library, and they are basically sent out as trained spies all across different universes and alternate realities in the past and the present and the future, and they gather up works of literature that alludes to the fact that there could be other worlds, other universes, or perhaps that gives away some sort of a technological secret that that period in time is not yet ready to discover. They haven't evolved to that point yet. And so they basically take them away so that all of these universes can run on their natural orders. So it's quite an expansive universe, and you sort of visit a different alternate in every book. Irene is totally badass. She's brilliant. She is funny, she is sassy, but her sassiness isn't in place of a personality. You totally get to know Irene's personality throughout this book. She is flawed, she isn't your standard hero, she makes mistakes, she owns them, she learns for them. The side characters in this book are absolutely phenomenal. The magic system is brilliant, and there is just huge opportunities for it to be so brilliantly geeky, because depending on what sort of a wee niche tropes you enjoy, there's probably going to be an alternate universe where that is like the main story arc. If you like Victorian steampunky London, like that's in there, like for sure. If you like futuristic tech, then you know there's going to be somewhere in there that has that. If you would prefer somewhere that is really logic driven, and all the magic in this place is going to be based on logic, there's going to be a place like that as well. So I think that they're absolutely brilliant, and I've not really seen many other people talking about them, but I think that they are brilliant. So if you're into really unique magic systems, great character development, then check them out, because I think that you'll absolutely love them. I don't tab my books or anything like that. I don't keep track of quotes as I'm reading. Sometimes there is a good quote, like, and I'll maybe turn to Simon and be like, oh, listen to this, but rarely. I think for me it's not something that I ever really keep an eye on. I know that some people are really into quotes and they like sharing them with people and they think that they're really cool. It's just not something that has ever particularly interested me, really. That being said, at our wedding we had our wedding vows were made up of different book quotes and things like that, because our wedding was book themed, and Simon put in some lovely book quotes and some funny book quotes into his wedding speech as well. So the ones that were included in our wedding, I guess I hold kind of close to my heart, and he did manage to slip Chuck Palahniuk in there, just so you know. I do have a few favourite fictional friendships. I am not a huge romance fan in my books, so I tend to ship the friendships more than I ship the romantic relationships. And one of the books that I read last year, or the series of books I read last year, should I say, was The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. And the friendships in that book were just amazing to me. I loved that everybody was so close and they were so ride or die for each other, and it was just phenomenal. It's one of the best friendship stories that I have read, and that is partly what made me love the book so much, was I just loved going in and hanging out with them, and I felt like they were my friends and I still do feel a wee bit like they're my friends a wee bit. So that was brilliant, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. There are romantic relationships within the book, but I think because they were based on such a strong friendship group, I did almost ship them a bit, and I did enjoy the romantic relationships. So that just, like, such high praise for Maggie Stiefvater's writing if she managed to get me to ship romances. But it was brilliant. They all cared for each other so deeply. They tried to protect each other at any costs, and they were just brilliant pals. They absolutely ripped each other to shreds at times as well, which is how we show affection in Scotland. If we slag you off, it means we like you. So I just loved it. So a wee bit off the track for me. That's not a phrase. So I have a couple, and my first one would be Lizzie Bennet, because I mean, come on, she's just the best. I love that she is just so forthright in her thoughts and her feelings and her opinions. I just think that is brilliant, especially considering when Pride and Prejudice was written. So to have a strong female character like that for that time was amazing. She holds no punches with regards to how she is feeling, and I just think that that is great. And she's so funny, and she makes mistakes, but again, she learns from them. And she really values honesty, she really values trust, she really values her family. I just think that she is a cracking character and a complete example that you don't need to be exactly what society expects of you. You can be your own person, and that is absolutely fine. And then on similar themes, I would have to say Eleanor Oliphant from Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. And I know that Eleanor in the book really struggles, but I think to have went through everything that Eleanor has done in her life, and to have all the issues in social situations, and to be feeling really withdrawn from society, to the person that she was in the end of the book, where she had went through her lowest lows, but actually she came out at the other side of it. She made some really big realisations about herself and her own mental health, and she had formed a really great friendship. I just think is the epitome of strength. And I think that some people read Eleanor Oliphant and they see her as a victim, whereas I read it and I just see her as a really strong female character. I still think about Eleanor to this day. That book was one of the best books that I have read, and I still miss Eleanor and wish that there was more in the book. It is a great novel, so again, if anybody hasn't read Eleanor Oliphant, it's completely fine. Read it, please. So again, I have two answers for this. So as much as it'll pain me to admit this on the channel, because I need to sort of admit that Simon was right, but I prefer any movie adaptation of Les Miserables over the book. He was right to put it in room 101. And also The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker, but only because like that spawned so many amazing Hellraiser films. It wasn't because the book was terrible, because the book was great. Dog's going nuts. Hellraiser is one of my favourite horror films. I'm here for the fake blood, I am here for Pinhead, I am here for all the leather and chains. It is brilliant, so I really love the fact that we got so many films from a wee short story, so that as well. I own a couple of different editions of the Narnia books. I have the ones that I read when I was little with my dad because they just hold so much sentimental value. And then I also bought Simon for Christmas a couple of years ago, a really beautiful edition of them. It was a set and it's gorgeous, so I have both sets of them. I can't get rid of my childhood ones, but he wanted a really nice set, so like, fair enough, I'll take a couple. I also own two editions of Make Something Up by Chuck Palahniuk. So when me and Simon first started dating, that was the Chuck Palahniuk book that was out at the time, and so when we were chatting about what we were reading, that's what I was reading. So I have the standard hardback edition of that. And so then when me and Simon were getting married, he contacted Chuck Palahniuk to let him know I was his biggest fan on like Annie Wilkes level, and asked if he would send us a well wish on our wedding so that Simon could read it out at the end of his speech. However, Chuck Palahniuk went absolutely above and beyond, and he sent me a beautiful limited print edition of Make Something Up, and it is one of the most prized books that I own. I think that if the house was on fire and I could only save one book, it would probably be this book. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. And he, I don't know if you'll see, signed it on the inside as well. He says, to Amy on the occasion of her first, and then scored it out and wrote, only wedding, much love, Chuck Palahniuk. So I was absolutely blown away by that. And it's a beautiful edition. I actually have it framed. I never handle this, and it's not just on the shelf, it's in a box frame. and once we get the library sorted, it will be up on the wall or in a prized position somewhere. I actually have not read the Three Musketeers. However, me and Simon, back in the day when Simon was also on the channel, did a series called Book 101. I like classics, Simon historically does not, so we both read it and then we discuss the merit of the book as to whether it deserves to survive or if it needs to go into Book 101, and we just pretend like it doesn't exist anymore. And we are going to reprise that series, which will be brilliant, and we have the Three Musketeers on that list. Simon, as part of my Christmas, bought me some more of the beautiful penguin cloth bound classic editions, and the Three Musketeers is one of the ones that he got me, so it's definitely on the list for us to read and I am excited to check it out. I haven't even seen like TV adaptations of the Three Musketeers or any film adaptations or anything like that at all, so I will be going into it pretty blind. I obviously like know the general gist. I feel like everybody does because there's been so many adaptations, but other than like generally three guys cutting about, best pals, fighting crime and getting up to shenanigans, I don't really know anything else about it, so I am looking forward to that. So who I would like to tag, I would like to tag Emily from Novelle Novels, I would like to tag Ange from Angie's Book Chatter, and I would like to tag Scott and Nell from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. That's it from me, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this tag and hopefully you're enjoying everything you're reading at the moment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!